we talked about mortgage lending, but it involves so many aspects of lives, and it has so many connections to the economy, to people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's just to government policy, to fiscal policy, and there's so many layers to all this, right?
There certainly is, and there's so many moving parts, and I almost feel like it's moving faster now, Todd, than it was.
Yeah.
And Sandy said something very interesting in one of our
great. She was
previous segments. She said, before 2012, everything was very stable and everything was the same. And then I'm like, now nothing's the same.
Yeah.
And there's so much variety and so many differences from lender to lender. And I think Sandy really hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
What Manulife is offering versus what TD Bank's offering versus what Scotiabank's offering, very, very different offerings.
Yeah.
Right?
There are some commonalities, though, in that if you have good credit, if you have a good job,
you'll get
if you have good documents,
you'll get a approval.
Yeah. Some of that's not going to change, right?
And I mean, the principles of mortgage lending are the same. It's really income, it's assets, and the credit. But the actual product you're getting, there's going to be some differences.
Yeah. Speaking of, we touched on fraud. People fall victim of fraud all the time, and this is a real issue and challenge. And you talk about why people should monitor their credit and their bank accounts and all of that. You've preached this ever since 7-8 years ago. Whenever we
get the free apps, people. Borrow Well, Credit Karma, download.
That's right, but it's so important, right? We see Nova Scotia Power has had a breach and breach. Not to besmirch them, but it's in the news. And people's financial and personal information could really screw you up if you don't have it.
Yeah, this is why it's so important to do business with people that you trust. Specifically, like for us, we're in the market.
Yeah.
We have 2 retail locations. We have one in Halifax and one in Dartmouth. Customers can actually come in and physically see us in person. And I think that provides a lot of comfort to people. You know, it's a place that they can go if they need help.
What type of software do you guys use, not to put you on the spot, but to protect your customers' data?
So our underwriting platform is called Filogix Expert, and it's what we consider the legacy version. At one time, this underwriting platform was owned by D&H, Davis and Henderson. You know, the people that make your checks?
Yeah.
It was owned by that company.
Oh, is that right?
Now it's Fenestra is the company. You know what, they're doing updates all the time, and we use our CRM. We use Salesforce. Nice. So Salesforce is, I think, the biggest CRM in the world.
Yeah, they're on the game.
And you know, obviously, we keep security very, very high in our minds, and the type of security that we have in our offices is very similar to what a bank branch would have. Yeah. I'm not saying that everybody has the same level of security. I'm a little bit paranoid because I want to make sure that I'm protecting my, 40,000 plus customers. Yeah. Make sure that their information is secure. Because guess what? If I didn't have customers, I wouldn't have a business. And if I didn't have a business, we wouldn't be able to do this show. Yeah. So it's very, very important to us. And for me personally, 80% of my customers are repeat.
Wow.
So I'm seeing a lot of the same customers every single day. Yeah. And overall, as our brokerage, we're at like 60%, which is massive.
I'm included in that, by the way.
You are. I'm included. I'm included too.
Yeah.
Lots of people, obviously, probably some people that are listening are included.
It must be quite rewarding, though, Clinton. I would say not to belabor the point, but there's got to be a level of reward for you to know that you've helped so many people, and I mean this, meet that dream of home ownership. That's got to feel good.
I certainly have. And let me tell you, there certainly have been some challenging times. There are some great times, but there's nothing more rewarding than, a borrower getting their very first home. I think Canadians really have this dream of home ownership, and it is so possible here, but it is daunting. There are a lot of moving parts. We're talking about stress tests. We're talking about a pre-approval. We're talking about saving for your down payment, the Nova Scotia Down Payment Assistance Program, which we talked about on your show, Todd. Yep. There's so many parts that need to align to make this happen. And I think for first-time home buyers, it certainly has been challenging just getting over that hump and getting into the first home. But once you own your first home, it's so much easier after that, and when you're talking about renewals and refis and maybe buying another home, it does become easier. Mm-hmm. That first transaction, I think, is the hardest and the most friction. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk before we run out of time. Time flies when you have good content. But to the Halifax market, what can you tell us about the
Certainly,
market?
Yeah. That's one thing that we really promised to talk about. I think in Halifax, it's still going very, very steady. Yeah. We've not seen the softening that they've seen in other markets across the country. Mm-hmm. The one thing I will note is there are a lot of properties down the South Shore for sale. And a lot of these properties are over $1 million. And these are ones that wouldn't necessarily be on the market for a long time, but they're sitting now Some of these properties I'm seeing sitting 30, 60, 90, 120 plus days on the marketplace. I think a lot of this has to do with, the foreign buyers ban. It's not in vogue necessarily to come and buy a home in Nova Scotia.
How much is it, 5%? Or what's the percent of that?
It depends. I in Nova Scotia, you're talking about the D-transfer tax.
Sorry, I'm convoluted.
That's why I'm like 5%. What?
Right. Yeah.
So obviously,
that's another. That's
going to slow.
factor.
That's going to slow people down.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's just the foreign buyers ban. You can only buy in rural Nova Scotia. So if you're a foreign buyer, you can't come and buy a home in Halifax.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Yeah.
So there certainly are some limitations there. And anytime that there's rules and changes, regulatory rules that change, whether it's provincial or federal, that will slow some buyers down because there's misconceptions out there. There's a lot of buyers that think, hey, I'm coming from another country. I can't buy in Canada because of this ban. Well, you can. You just might not be able to buy in urban Canada.
Yeah. So overall, the market, again, not enough new home construction. I think
that's the biggest challenge here.
Always, and again, for 7 years, we've been having the same conversation. Right?
Let's get some shovels in the ground.
Yeah.
And, we had Andy Fillmore, the mayor of Halifax, in for a Mortgage Professionals Canada conference. He actually came to speak.
We should have him on the show sometime.
2 Sundays ago. Yeah. Two Sundays ago, he was here. And I think we will have him on the show.
Yeah.
And he spoke so well about what the real needs are here in Halifax. And what he's saying is very aligned with industry. He knows we need more homes. He knows he has to work with the province and the feds to get all levels of government working. And what's really interesting, he has a great perspective because he was an urban planner. He knows what needs to happen here in Halifax. He needs to obviously get council there, and he needs to get the civil servants there to really get these shovels in the ground. And it's going to be all levels working together.
Yeah. How about condos? Is the condo market hot or not?
I think it's certainly warm. I don't think the condo market is as hot as single family homes, but it never has been here, Todd. It's never been that, hot. But people need places to live. Yeah. And we need all levels of construction. And condos and apartments are a great way to create density, especially in our urban core.
Yeah, and densification is obviously integral for a lot of reasons, right?
Like you drive down Roby Street, you drive down Yonge Street, you drive down Wise Road. There's towers going up everywhere.
Yeah, for sure. Clinton, how do people get a hold of you?
Check us out online at teamclinton.ca/radio. We have hundreds of blog posts on there. We have links to our social media. You can see what Todd and I look like, and we're pumping out lots of great content. And I would just really challenge all our listeners, do your research, decide who you're going to do business with, and forge forward. Advice is just so important right now.
And one other shout out to our guest.
Yeah, it's so great to have Sandy Burns on from Manulife Bank. Built to bring someone in at that level here on our show, I think is really amazing, and we'll certainly welcome her back here in the future.
Absolutely, Clinton. Always a real treat to do this, and let's do it again. How's that sound?
Can't wait. If you've liked what you've heard and you want to learn more, feel free to visit us online at teamclinton.ca.